For 300,000 years, the human brain has relied on, well, a highly efficient, biologically necessary mechanism just to survive.
Right, just to survive the sheer volume of sensory input we encounter every single day.
Exactly. And we call it forgetting. I mean, evolutionarily speaking, synaptic pruning is a feature. It is not a bug.
Yeah, we delete things, we blur details, we actively rewrite our own memories just to, protect our sanity.
To lower our cognitive load.
Right, and to allow ourselves to wake up the next day without being completely crushed by the weight of our own past.
But in 2026, that biological limit of human memory has just been completely shattered.
It really has.
We're officially entering the era of perfect recall.
And it is a profound threshold. I mean, we are looking at a reality where the fundamental nature of how we experience time, memory, and subjective truth is shifting.
Shifting away from being biological and flawed.
Exactly. To being digital, mathematically indexed, and completely absolute. We are essentially externalizing the hippocampus.
Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are breaking down what the tech sector is currently calling the Omniscient Mind.
And the rise of the AI second brain.
Right. Our mission here is to explore how a new breed of ambient AI wearables are silently recording, transcribing, and indexing every single waking moment of your life.
Which is rendering the smartphone completely obsolete.
And it's fundamentally rewriting the corporate and economic power structures of the global economy.
We are also going to look at the macroeconomic wealth playbook for this new era, because you need to know this.
Yeah, the capital rotation happening right now is violent.
It really is. So we need to map out exactly where the smart money is flowing.
Because the popular narrative around consumer hardware is, frankly, fundamentally flawed.
Completely flawed.
And I also want to warn you about the dark side of this transition, because it gets dystopian rapidly.
Oh, very rapidly.
We're going to look at the psychological horror and the absolute legal nightmares coming down the pipe.
Yeah, think about the implications of a corporate lawyer subpoenaing a high-definition transcript of your day.
Complete with mathematically verified AI sentiment analysis.
Right, of a whispered, off-the-record hallway venting session you had with a colleague 3 years ago.
3 years ago, the concept of off the record is dead.
The liability and privacy implications are staggering. It forces a complete reevaluation of how we conduct business.
How we socialize and how we protect our own thoughts.
Exactly.
So to understand why this AI second brain is suddenly taking over and why it is absorbing billions in venture capital this quarter, well, we have to look back.
We have to perform a post-mortem on the failure of the previous era.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. We just spent the better part of a decade obsessing over personal knowledge management, or PKM.
The whole digital garden concept.
Yes, the tech industry pushed this idea heavily.
Yeah.
Millions of knowledge workers spent the last 10 years trying to turn themselves into human databases.
Using apps like Notion, Obsidian, Evernote.
Yeah, and what was the thesis there?
Well, the thesis of the PKM era was that if you just organized your thoughts well enough, you would achieve some kind of, intellectual nirvana.
Right, like if you just tagged things correctly.
Exactly. People spent hundreds, maybe thousands of hours building these elaborate, beautifully formatted relational databases.
Oh, I know people who spent whole weekends just color-coding their Notion boards.
Same. They manually typed out meeting notes, they highlighted PDFs, they created insanely complex hierarchical tagging systems.
But the PKM era was a massive failure for the vast majority of people.
A total failure. And the reason is biological.
Right. The legacy software relied entirely on human discipline.
It required you to halt your actual lived experience.
You had to stop what you were doing, pull out a glowing rectangle, open an application, and manually transcribe your own consciousness.
Which humans hate doing. We have a biological allergy to manual data entry.
We really do. The sheer number of abandoned, empty Notion workspaces scattered across the internet. I mean, it's a testament to the fact that this was an entirely unnatural workflow.
The friction of capture was the bottleneck. Human beings are not designed to be stenographers of their own lives.
No, we aren't.
Like if you have an epiphany while walking your dog, the cognitive cost of stopping, unlocking a screen, opening an app, and typing it out, it usually outweighs the perceived value of the thought itself.
So the thought just evaporates.
Exactly. It's gone.
It's like the old way of taking notes was essentially like stopping your life to file paperwork in a clunky gray metal cabinet.
That's a great way to put it.
You're trying to navigate the physical world and you have to halt your existence to play secretary to yourself.
Right.
But the new paradigm, this ambient AI era, it acts as an unblinking, passive third eye. It does the filing for you while you keep walking.
And that brings us to the why now of the hardware revolution. We are finally moving away from the screen as the primary interface.
Yes, the hardware we are seeing roll out in 2026 is no longer a surface you consciously interact with.
It is a sensor you wear and immediately forget about. We are talking about magnetic lapel pins that snap onto a shirt collar.
And they weigh less than a quarter.
Right.
I want to dig into the physics of those pins, actually, because they aren't just tiny microphones.
No, not at all.
Because standard microphones are useless in the real world. They pick up everything, the air conditioner, the traffic, everything.
Right. If you use a normal mic in a coffee shop, the transcript is garbage.
But these new wearables utilize ultra-directional beam-forming microarrays. So can you explain the mechanics of how this hardware actually isolates a voice in a chaotic environment?
Yeah, so it relies on phase cancellation and spatial filtering.
Okay.
These devices have multiple microscopic microphones arranged in a very specific geometric pattern.
Like a grid.
Sort of, yeah. And when a sound wave hits the device, it hits each individual mic at a fraction of a millisecond's difference.
Right, because of the physical distance between the tiny mics.
Exactly. So the onboard processor calculates the exact direction the sound is coming from based on those microsecond delays.
Wow, okay.
And then it algorithmically amplifies the audio coming from the specific direction of your mouth and the mouth of the person standing directly in front of you.
While ignoring the rest.
Better than ignoring. It intentionally generates inverse sound waves to cancel out the background noise.
So it's actively deleting the sound of the crowded restaurant or the subway car.
Right.
So it's essentially creating an acoustic tunnel between you and whoever you're looking at.
Exactly. And that pairs directly with the smart glasses.
Which, by the way, don't look like the bulky augmented reality headsets from like the early 2020s.
No, they look identical to standard Wayfarers. You wouldn't even know.
But hidden inside the frames are inward-facing eye-tracking cameras and outward-facing spatial cameras.
Right. And the fusion of that data is what makes it truly ambient.
How so?
Well, the glasses are passively reading the documents you look at on your desk. They're tracking your gaze to understand which part of a whiteboard you were focusing on during a brainstorm.
So it knows what you're looking at while you're talking.
Yes. And it cross-references your visual focus with the audio you are hearing.
The critical element here is the zero friction capture. You never press a record button.
Never.
You never look at a screen. These devices use ultra-low power Bluetooth protocols to stream this ambient data straight to your smartphone.
Which acts as the localized server.
Right. So you remain entirely present in the physical world. You are looking your co-founder in the eye. You are completely in the moment.
But in the background, the AI is constantly transcribing the audio, utilizing localized speech-to-text models.
It is identifying and separating the distinct biometric voice signatures of everyone in the room.
Yep. It knows who is speaking. It is extracting action items, measuring the emotional sentiment of the conversation, and isolating core semantic concepts.
Think about the classic shower idea, right? Or the driving idea.
Oh, the driving idea is the best example.
You're driving home, the radio's off, and you suddenly have this fully formed, crystalline vision for a new business model.
Or the exact right combination of words to repair a fractured relationship with a family member.
Yes. And you tell yourself, I will absolutely remember this when I get home.
But you never do.
Never. Because human biological memory is a leaky bucket. By the time you navigate traffic, park the car, get to your desk, the vision has fractured.
The edges are blurred. The perfect phrasing is just gone forever.
But ambient computing permanently seals that leaky bucket.
The ghost of a thought doesn't slip through your fingers anymore, because it is caught, transcribed, and indexed before you even consciously realize you've finalized the thought.
But capturing the audio is only half the battle, right?
Right.
Because if you just end up with a giant flat text file of everything you've said and heard for a year, that's completely useless.
Keyword search fails spectacularly at that scale.
So how is the AI actually making sense of this ocean of unstructured passive data?
What's fascinating here is the architectural shift that most people misunderstand. Legacy software relied on keyword search.
The old Control-F paradigm.
Exactly. If you wanted to find a document, you had to remember the exact string of characters you used to name it.
Like, if you titled a file Client Revenue 2024, but you searched your database for customer sales, you got 0 results.
Because the system was entirely literal. It didn't understand what you meant. It just looked for matching letters.
But the AI second brain operates on a fundamentally different math. We are moving from keyword search to semantic vector embeddings.
Right. When the AI ingests an ambient conversation, it does not just save the text as a flat transcript.
What does it do?
It utilizes a neural network to translate the actual meaning and context of the text into mathematical coordinates within a high-dimensional vector space.
I want to make sure we don't gloss over this because understanding the math here is crucial to understanding the competitive advantage.
It is the whole ballgame.
We are moving past basic keyword architecture into multi-dimensional vectors. So explain how a localized neural network plots these coordinates fast enough to be useful without requiring massive cloud compute.
Okay, imagine a massive three-dimensional galaxy of concepts.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The AI takes a conversation you had about reducing customer churn and plots it as a star in this galaxy.
Okay.
It then plots related concepts, things like improving retention, user experience friction, or subscription metrics as neighboring stars.
It groups them based on their meaning.
Yes, based on their semantic gravitational pull, even if the exact words retention or metrics were never spoken.
Wow.
The proximity of these vectors allows the system to understand relationships between abstract ideas.
And because the models have become incredibly efficient, this vectorization can happen on the edge.
Yes, on your phone's neural processing unit in near real time.
So instead of looking for matching letters, the search engine is looking for the mathematical distance between ideas.
Exactly. You are essentially building a personal augury system.
Retrieval augmented generation.
Right, but based entirely on your own lived experience.
You can query your second brain with highly abstract, deeply personal questions that Google could never, ever answer.
Because you are querying the contextual history of your own life.
Okay, let's ground this in a real-world business application. Let's look at what we're calling the Centaur advantage.
This is where it gets crazy.
Think of a massive fundraising pitch. Say you are prepping for a Series B pitch.
In the legacy world, you would review some typed notes, maybe try to jog your memory about what the lead investor liked or didn't like during your last meeting.
You'd be guessing, mostly.
Yeah, relying on biological memory.
But in the ambient era, you query your personal aura system. You tell the AI and listen to the complexity of this prompt, you say, cross-reference the specific operational objections that the lead investor raised during our casual dinner 6 months ago with the live Q3 financial metrics we just generated via our company's Stripe API.
The complexity of that prompt is wild.
It really is. You are asking the model to blend a 6-month-old unstructured ambient audio memory recorded over the sound of clinking glasses in a restaurant with structured real-time financial data from a live database.
And the AI instantly retrieves a mathematical vector for that dinner conversation.
It finds the needle in the haystack.
It locates the specific moment in the transcript where the investor expressed subtle hesitation.
And it doesn't just read the words, right?
No, it analyzes the audio. Maybe their vocal cadence indicated anxiety specifically around customer acquisition costs.
So it spots the exact fear the investor has.
Then the AI pulls your live Q3 data from the Stripe API, identifies that your acquisition costs have actually dropped by 20%, and drafts a highly personalized, mathematically backed counterargument for you to deploy in the pitch.
And it takes less than 3 seconds.
3 seconds to synthesize months of data and ambient memory into a kill shot.
If you are competing in the knowledge economy, where the primary currency is the rapid synthesis of complex information, having a highly optimized personal vector database is an insurmountable advantage.
It really is.
I mean, if you are going up against a competitor who is still relying on their biological hippocampus to recall the nuances of a multi-year negotiation,
they are bringing a knife to a drone fight.
Exactly. You never forget a client's kid's name. You never miss a subtle verbal commitment.
And this advantage doesn't just make you faster, it fundamentally rewires the power dynamics inside any corporate organization.
We are witnessing a massive shift in narrative control.
Which is huge, because corporate history is largely the history of who controls the narrative.
Power has always flowed to the note-taker.
Always. The person who writes the meeting minutes gets to subtly frame the decisions.
They highlight their own departmental contributions, and they quietly bury the objections of their rivals.
It's a subjective, deeply human form of soft political power.
But the AI second brain completely annihilates that subjective power.
Completely. When an employee is equipped with localized ambient AI, they possess perfect, unassailable objective recall of every interaction.
Let's look at a human story that perfectly encapsulates this friction.
Right.
Imagine you are a mid-level product manager at a mid-cap SaaS company. and you are dealing with a notoriously aggressive VP of sales.
The classic executive archetype who makes sweeping promises to secure alignment in the moment.
Right, and then conveniently develops amnesia when it's time to actually allocate resources.
We all know a Brad.
Exactly, let's call him Brad. So it's October 14th, you're in a critical strategy meeting.
Okay.
Brad verbally promises your product team 3 dedicated back-end developers for the Q4 launch.
But he hedges it, right?
Of course he does. He's a corporate survivor. He verbally hedges it just slightly. He says, we'll definitely prioritize those 3 devs for you, assuming the enterprise pipeline holds up.
Which gives him an out.
Exactly. So 3 weeks later, the enterprise pipeline holds perfectly, but the engineers are abruptly pulled and reassigned to one of Brad's pet projects.
Typical. So what happens when you confront him?
Well, Brad denies ever making the firm promise. He blames your team for misunderstanding the alignment.
Oh, that phrase.
He claims he explicitly told you the resources were contingent on a board vote.
Which is a complete lie.
Right. Now, in the legacy corporate structure, this is a fatal he said, she said dispute.
Because if you escalate this to the CEO, Brad wins.
He controls the revenue, he has the political capital, and you have nothing but your subjective memory.
You look incompetent, and your Q4 launch fails.
But in the ambient computing era, you don't waste time arguing with Brad.
No, you just query your second brain.
You ask the AI to retrieve the exact transcript from the October 14th meeting. You ask it to isolate the specific timestamp where Brad committed the developers.
But here is the truly devastating part.
Tell them.
You ask the AI to run a tonal and sentiment analysis on his vocal cadence during that specific sentence.
Yes.
And you cross-reference it with his historical baseline speaking patterns.
To mathematically confirm that it was a definitive commitment and not a hypothetical hedge.
Exactly.
You take that time-stamped AI-verified audio clip along with the text log and the sentiment analysis graph.
And you drop it straight into the executive Slack channel.
Brad is completely exposed. The dispute is over instantly. There is absolutely no room for gaslighting when you have a perfect, cryptographically secure record of reality.
But wait, I have to ask, does this actually create a functional corporate environment?
That's the question, isn't it?
Because if every conversation is a potential deposition, doesn't that destroy the fundamental trust required for human collaboration?
That is the exact friction tearing companies apart right now.
Yeah.
We are seeing the emergence of a terrifying new class divide within the enterprise.
A class divide based on memory.
Yes. You have the omniscient employees, the early adopters who have the technical literacy to build and wear these personal RG systems.
They are entirely immune to gaslighting, they never drop a ball, and they synthesize institutional knowledge instantly.
And on the other side, you have the biological employees.
The ones who are still trying to remember what was agreed upon last Tuesday.
The omniscient class is rapidly ascending the corporate hierarchy, and the biological class is being systematically managed out.
It is a brutal new reality, and it is driving massive capital flows into the infrastructure supporting this shift.
Which brings us to the wealth playbook.
Yes, let's talk about the money angle.
Because you need to know how an investor actually positions their portfolio for the automation of human memory.
Because the popular narrative on financial Twitter right now is incredibly misleading.
Very. The prevailing wisdom says you need to pour capital into the flashy consumer wearable startups.
The companies designing the sleek magnetic pins and the designer smart glasses.
That is a contrarian take we need to establish firmly right now.
Yes. Investing in the consumer hardware layer is a massive trap.
Why?
Because consumer hardware is historically a brutal, low-margin, highly commoditized race to the bottom. Look at the smartphone wars of the 2010s.
Right.
The generational wealth is almost never in the plastic, the glass, or the final consumer brand.
The massive defensible margins are in the picks and shovels of ambient compute.
Exactly.
But hold on, play devil's advocate here. Apple built a $3 trillion empire on consumer hardware. Why shouldn't I just bet on the startup making the sleekest, most Apple-like augmented reality glasses?
Because Apple owns its own silicon and its own ecosystem. These new startups do not. To understand why the consumer brands will fail, you have to look at the brutal unit economics of memory. Let's break down the math.
Let's do it.
Consider the compute power required to process, transcribe, vectorize, and store 16 hours of high-fidelity audio and spatial video every single day.
Just for one user.
Right, for one single user. If a startup tries to process that data in the cloud, the compute costs are completely unsustainable.
Let's use real numbers. Say a sauce company charges you $20 a month for your second brain subscription.
Okay, $20 in revenue. but it costs them $30 a month in AWS, cloud API calls, latency routing, and vector database hosting, just to process the sheer volume of your daily life.
So they are losing $10 a user.
Every single month. The more successful they are, the faster they bleed cash.
The margin squeeze is physically impossible to overcome.
The only solution to the unit economics of ambient computing is edge compute.
The processing cannot happen in a massive server farm in Virginia.
No, the inference must happen locally, offline, on the device itself, or tethered to the neural engine on your smartphone.
This gives us Vector 1 for the macroeconomic playbook. The edge NPU monopolies.
NPU stands for Neural Processing Unit.
Right. You want to look for mid-cap semiconductor firms and advanced packaging companies that are currently dominating a specialized sector called tiny ML.
Tiny machine learning.
Yes. What exactly are they doing that's so valuable?
These are the hardware firms engineering ultra-low power silicon architectures that can run localized, compressed models.
Like specialized whisper transcription variants.
Exactly, and they run them on a tiny milliwatt battery budget. These semiconductor companies are the toll booths of the ambient era.
Because every single smart ring, every pair of AR glasses, every lapel pin requires these specialized chips to process data locally without draining the battery in 2 hours.
That is where the structural advantage lies.
Got it. Now, Vector 2 in the playbook is equally fascinating from a physics perspective. Acoustic metamaterials.
This is so important because the real physical world is incredibly noisy.
It is. If your AI second brain is trying to record a crucial negotiation in a crowded coffee shop, a standard MEMS microphone will just feed the model a useless, hallucinated transcript.
Full of espresso machine noises and overlapping background chatter.
Software alone cannot fix bad physics.
It really can't. So you invest in the physical patents.
You look for the materials science companies engineering phononic crystals and subwavelength structures.
These are physical materials and beamforming algorithms that actually bend sound waves.
Before they even hit the microphone.
Right. Physically isolating the voice of the person sitting exactly 3 feet across from you, while destructively interfering with the ambient noise of the room.
Without those acoustic metamaterial patents, the software layer is entirely useless.
Completely useless.
And Vector 3 is the short play.
Yes. As an investor, you have to look at what this new technology is actively destroying.
You have to short the legacy manual productivity sauce monopolies.
The Notions, the Evernotes, the complex project management tools that rely on manual tagging.
As the friction of manual data entry drops to absolute zero, these legacy companies are facing an existential collapse.
They are fundamentally misaligned with human biology, and now that a frictionless alternative exists, their churn rates are going to spike dramatically.
So your playbook for this week is clear. Rotate your capital away from the hype of consumer hardware brands. Research the TinyML semiconductor foundries, look into the patent portfolios of acoustic metamaterial firms, and aggressively evaluate your exposure to legacy note-taking saws.
That is how you exploit the unit economics of perfect memory.
But as we map out the wealth generation and the massive productivity gains, we have to confront the psychological cost.
We have to. Because when you completely eradicate the human capacity to forget, you are tampering with the foundational psychological mechanisms that allow human beings to function in society.
Let's talk about the dark side. In 1942, the Argentine author Jorge Luis Borges wrote a short story called Funes the Memorious.
It is a brilliant, terrifying story.
It's about a young man who gets thrown from a horse, suffers a severe head injury, and when he regains consciousness, he has completely lost the neurological ability to forget.
He remembers the exact shape of every single leaf on every tree he has ever seen.
He remembers the exact temperature and direction of every breeze he has ever felt.
And it completely paralyzes him.
Borges writes that to think is to forget a difference, to generalize, to abstract.
Funes is crushed under the infinite, unedited weight of reality. He is trapped in a world of contiguous, exhausting details.
He can't sleep, he can't form broad concepts.
And we are literally hard-coding Funes' curse into our consumer electronics.
Think about what this does to human relationships. Consider a dark hypothetical.
Yeah.
What happens to a marriage when your ambient AI can perfectly recall the exact venomous tone of voice your partner used during an argument 3 years ago?
It creates a crisis of forgiveness.
It really does.
Biological forgetting is a profound grace. We forgive our spouses, our friends, our colleagues for harsh words spoken in anger precisely because the memory physically degrades.
The synaptic connections weaken.
The memory gets softened by time, by subsequent affection, and by the reconstructive, deeply flawed nature of biological memory.
We survive our own professional failures because the acute sting of the embarrassment dulls over time.
That neurological fading allows us to heal, adapt, and actually take new risks.
But if you can pull up a high-definition audio playback of your own rejections, your own moments of weakness instantly on demand,
We are going to see a societal epidemic of chronic anxiety.
we are engineering a society paralyzed by perfect grudges, entirely incapable of moving on.
You are trapped in a high-definition algorithmic replay of every slight and every failure.
But the psychological horror is only half of the dark side. The legal reality is arguably worse.
We have to talk about the spoliation of evidence.
Right. If you are passively recording everything, then legally that data is discoverable.
Let's say you get sued, or your corporation enters litigation. Opposing counsel isn't just going to subpoena your emails and your Slack messages anymore.
They are going to subpoena your personal vector database.
And because of e-discovery laws, you cannot delete it once litigation is reasonably anticipated.
They will gain access to the exact transcript of your off-the-record hallway whispers.
They will pull the mathematical sentiment analysis of your private venting sessions.
Did the defendant express malicious intent towards the plaintiff on a Tuesday morning at the coffee machine?
Yes, Your Honor. And we have the mathematical sentiment vector captured by their own ambient wearable to prove it.
It creates a legal panopticon, which forces us to look ahead to the 5-year outlook.
How will society and corporate culture actually respond to this absolute surveillance?
Well, corporately, the future state is inevitable.
Because of the massive risk of legal discovery, combined with the immense competitive advantage of having perfect institutional recall, corporations will soon mandate the use of enterprise-issued second brains,
You want to work at this firm? Wear the corporate pin.
completely eradicating any illusion of employee privacy.
Every spoken word, every brainstorm, every casual aside becomes indexed company property.
So how do high net worth individuals and elite organizations react to that? What is the trend for the physical spaces where we actually want to be human?
It is creating an entirely new market for high-end real estate and corporate architectural design.
We are seeing the rapid rise of Faraday cage meeting rooms.
Rooms physically lined with copper mesh integrated into the drywall to block all wireless signals, Bluetooth, and cellular data.
You will have to physically surrender your ambient wearables at the door, place them in a signal-blocking locker, just to have a frank strategic conversation.
We are calling this the analog premium.
It's like the evolution of the acoustic guitar.
How do you mean?
We spent 50 years electrifying instruments to make them louder and more synthesized, only to eventually realize that an unplugged analog acoustic set is considered more intimate, rare, and premium.
The ultimate luxury of the 21st century will not be perfect technology.
No, it will be the guaranteed absence of it.
Elite boardrooms, exclusive private social clubs, and high-end restaurants will market themselves explicitly as zero AI, analog-only spaces.
People will pay massive premiums for the physical right to speak freely.
Knowing that the words will disappear into the air the moment they are spoken, completely unindexed and unrecorded.
The ultimate luxury is going to be the fundamental right to be forgotten.
It is a fascinating paradox.
We spend billions of dollars in venture capital to engineer perfect digital memory, only to realize that true human freedom requires the biological ability to let things go.
Let's synthesize exactly what we've covered today. Frictionless ambient wearables are moving us from a society that manually searches for information to one that relies on perfect, passive, mathematically indexed recall.
This technology is violently rewiring corporate power.
Giving godlike leverage to the employee equipped with an AI second brain and utterly destroying the concept of subjective narrative.
It is actively bankrupting legacy manual SaaS applications while funneling immense wealth into the foundational infrastructure.
The edge MPU silicon foundries and the physical patents for acoustic metamaterials.
But the societal cost is immense.
It creates a psychological and legal panopticon, systematically stripping away the biological grace of forgetting.
So I want to challenge you right now as you navigate this transition.
If an AI wearable could perfectly record and recall every promise, every negotiation, every brilliant idea you have ever had, Would you wear it 24/7 for the ultimate career advantage?
Or is your fundamental human right to forget and to be forgotten actually more valuable than perfect productivity?
I want to leave you with one final deeply provocative thought to mull over.
Something that the cybersecurity sector is only just beginning to model.
If you are fundamentally the sum of your memories, and those memories are now extracted, translated into multidimensional vectors, and stored in an external database.
What happens when that database is inevitably compromised?
What happens when they don't just steal your passwords or your capital?
What happens when a malicious actor physically edits your past?
They hack your vector database and subtly alter the transcripts and sentiment analysis of your own life?
Systematically gaslighting you into remembering conversations, agreements, and emotional reactions that never actually happened.
Who are you if you can no longer trust the externalized architecture of your own mind?
That is genuinely terrifying. It's an existential vulnerability we've never faced as a species.
Well, that wraps up this deep dive. Next week, we are pivoting aggressively from the digital mind to the physical supply chain.
We are diving into the deep earth matrix.
Looking at how subterranean drones and algorithmic resource mapping are completely crashing legacy commodity markets.
It is going to be a fascinating look at the total disruption of traditional mining, exploration, and global resource valuation.
You won't want to miss it. Until then, do your own research, protect your capital, and whatever you do, guard your memory.